The fog rolled in thick over the San Francisco Bay that morning, blanketing the hills of Palo Alto in a gray shroud. Eleanor Vance stood at the entrance of the sleek, modern chapel on Sand Hill Road, greeting mourners with a practiced smile that hid the storm raging inside her. Her husband, Marcus Vance, the billionaire founder of Vance Tech, a company that revolutionized cloud computing, had died suddenly in a private jet crash over the Sierra Nevada mountains. The NTSB report cited mechanical failure, but Eleanor couldn't shake the feeling that fate had a hand in it, delivering a swift end to a man who had lived life on his own terms. They had been married for 35 years. Eleanor, once a promising software engineer at Stanford, had met Marcus in the early days of the tech boom. She had her own dreams then, building algorithms that could change the world. But Marcus had convinced her to step back. "I'll take care of everything," he'd said, his eyes sparkling with ambition. "You focus on us, on our family." And she had, pouring her energy into raising their son, Alex, managing their sprawling estate in Atherton, and hosting endless galas for Silicon Valley's elite. She thought it was love. Now, as she adjusted the black Chanel dress that Marcus had bought her for their last anniversary, she wondered if it had all been a facade. The chapel was filled with tech moguls, venture capitalists, and a smattering of celebrities. Elon Musk sent flowers, Mark Zuckerberg posted a tribute on Facebook, but Eleanor's eyes kept darting to the front row, where a young woman sat, her posture perfect, her auburn hair cascading in waves. Sophia Lang, Marcus's star consultant at Vance Tech. Eleanor had met her a few times at company events, always polite, always professional. But there was something about her today, a quiet confidence that set Eleanor's nerves on edge. Alex, their 30-year-old son, stood at the podium. He was the spitting image of his father, tall, sharp-featured, with the same intense blue eyes. As Vance Tech's lead back-end engineer, he had inherited Marcus's drive. His voice cracked slightly as he began his eulogy. Dad was a visionary. He built an empire from nothing. But more than that, he was a man who knew what mattered: loyalty, support, the people who truly understood him. Eleanor felt a swell of pride. Alex had always been closer to his father, bonding over code and late-night strategy sessions. She waited for him to mention her, the woman who bandaged his knees after bike falls, stayed up for his college applications, and sacrificed her career for their family. Then Alex paused, his gaze shifting to Sophia. "There's someone I need to thank specially, someone who was there for Dad through the toughest times, who became like family to us. Sophia, thank you." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Sophia stood briefly, dabbing at her eyes with a silk handkerchief, her fitted black dress hugging her figure. Eleanor felt the world tilt. Family? She gripped the armrest of her seat, her knuckles white. The rest of the service blurred. Prayers, tributes, the casket being lowered into the ground at the nearby cemetery. As guests mingled afterward at the reception in their Atherton mansion, Eleanor overheard whispers. "Did you see that? The consultant? Must be something more." That night, alone in the master bedroom overlooking the manicured gardens, Eleanor couldn't sleep. She wandered into Marcus's study, a room filled with awards, prototypes, and stacks of legal documents. She poured herself a glass of his favorite scotch and sat at his desk, flipping through old photos. There they were, young and in love at their wedding in Napa Valley. Another of Alex as a toddler, building blocks while Marcus worked on his first laptop. Where had it gone wrong? Chapter 2. The Will Reading. 2 days later, in the offices of Harrington and Associates in downtown San Francisco, the truth hit like a tsunami. The lawyer, a silver-haired man named Edward Harrington, read from the will with clinical precision. "To my beloved son, Alex Vance, I leave 10% of Vance Tech shares and the Lake Tahoe cabin." Eleanor nodded faintly. That made sense. Alex had earned it. Harrington continued. "The remaining 90% of shares, the Atherton estate, the yacht in Marina del Rey, and all personal accounts totaling approximately $2.5 billion to Sophia Lang." The room spun. Eleanor stared at Harrington, then at Alex, who sat unmoving, his expression neutral. Sophia, seated across from them, offered a small, sympathetic smile. "No," Eleanor whispered, "this can't be right. We were married, community property." Harrington cleared his throat. Mrs. Vance, the will was updated 3 years ago. It's ironclad. Mr. Vance cited personal reasons. Personal reasons? Eleanor turned to Alex. You knew about this? Alex met her gaze steadily. Dad confided in me. Sophia was there for him when things got tough. After the antitrust lawsuits, the board fights, she understood the pressure. You were always so focused on the home front. The home front? I gave up my career for this family. I was the one who handled everything so he could build that empire. Alex sighed. Mom, Dad said you were too independent at first, but then you became complacent. Sophia challenged him, supported his vision without questioning. Sophia reached out, placing a hand on Alex's arm. I'm sorry, Eleanor. This wasn't my intention. Eleanor stood, her voice trembling. Your intention? You've been his mistress, haven't you? For how long? The room fell silent. Harrington shuffled papers. Perhaps we should adjourn, but Eleanor was already out the door, the San Francisco wind whipping her face as she hailed a cab. Back home, she locked herself in the guest room. The master felt tainted now. She cried for hours. Then anger took over. She started digging. Old emails, bank statements, forgotten files in the cloud. And then, in a locked drawer of Marcus's desk, she found it, a yellowed envelope labeled Prenup 1990. Her hands shook as she opened it. They had signed a prenuptial agreement, before marriage, at Marcus's insistence. She remembered it vaguely, standard stuff for a budding entrepreneur. But as she read, her eyes widened. Clause 12. In the event of infidelity by either party, the aggrieved spouse shall receive 75% of all marital assets, including business interests. Infidelity. If she could prove Marcus's affair with Sophia. Eleanor didn't waste time. She hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-FBI agent named Rita Gomez, who specialized in Silicon Valley scandals. Tech bros think they're untouchable, Rita said over coffee in a Menlo Park cafe, but they always leave a trail. Within weeks, Rita delivered a dossier, photos of Marcus and Sophia at discreet dinners in Napa, weekends in Big Sur, even a shared suite at CES in Las Vegas. Emails from Marcus's personal account. Sophia, you're the light in my chaos. Bank transfers, millions funneled to Sophia under consulting fees. And worst of all, text messages where Marcus confided in Alex, Son, Sophia gets me. Your mom, she's from another era. Eleanor confronted Alex at his apartment in Mountain View, a sleek condo overlooking Google headquarters. How could you betray me like this? Alex crossed his arms. Betray? Dad was happy with her. You two hadn't been a couple in years, just roommates. Sophia made him feel alive. Alive? He cheated on me, and you knew? He deserved happiness, Mom. You're strong. You'll be fine. Strong. That word stung. Eleanor had always been the rock, the one who handled crises while Marcus chased glory. But now, she channeled that strength into action. She contacted her old Stanford colleague, now a top family law attorney, Lydia Chen. We have the prenup, Eleanor said, and proof of infidelity. Lydia nodded. California's no-fault divorce state, but prenups supersede. If we prove the affair predates the will update, we can invalidate it and claim breach. The lawsuit was filed quietly at first, Eleanor Vance versus the estate of Marcus Vance and Sophia Lang. But in Silicon Valley, nothing stays quiet. Tech blogs buzzed. Tech widow sues mistress for billions. Sophia lawyered up, claiming the relationship was professional turned personal only after marital issues. Alex testified for her, saying, My father found solace in Sophia. The trial in San Francisco Superior Court was a spectacle. Eleanor took the stand, her voice steady. I built the foundation for Vance Tech. I coded the early prototypes, but I stepped back for family. Marcus promised to care for me. Instead, he hid an affair and rewrote our life. Cross-examination was brutal. Sophia's lawyer painted Eleanor as outdated, a housewife in a tech world. But then Lydia presented the evidence, timestamps on emails showing the affair started a decade ago, financial trails of gifts, even a secret apartment in Soma leased in Sophia's name.
The turning point, a whistleblower from VanceTech, a former CFO, testified to boardroom whispers about Marcus's distractions, and the prenup held. The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Judge Ramirez, ruled in Eleanor's favor. Breach of contract established. Mrs. Vance is awarded 75% of assets, including control of VanceTech shares. Sophia was devastated. She had to return properties, stocks, everything. Bankrupt, she fled to New York, her consulting career in ruins amid the scandal. Chapter 4: Reconciliation and Rebirth. Alex didn't speak to Eleanor for months. He quit VanceTech, starting a small AI startup in Austin, but guilt gnawed at him. When Sophia ghosted him after the verdict, revealing she'd been using him as leverage, he saw the truth. He showed up at the Atherton house one rainy evening. "Mom, I was wrong. Dad manipulated me. I thought he was the hero, but you were the one holding it all together." Eleanor hugged him, tears streaming. "I never stopped believing in you." With her newfound control, Eleanor didn't sell VanceTech. She returned as interim CEO, implementing ethical AI initiatives she'd dreamed of years ago. She founded the Eleanor Vance Foundation for Women in Tech, funding scholarships and mentorships. Her life bloomed. She traveled to Tuscany, Tokyo, rediscovering the adventurous spirit buried under decades of duty. At a foundation gala, she met a kind venture capitalist, not a billionaire, but a partner who saw her strength as an asset, not a threat. As she stood on her balcony watching the sun set over the valley, Eleanor smiled. The hidden prenup hadn't just saved her fortune, it had unlocked her future.